Hello, 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 beloveds, and welcome to another episode of Around the World with Tarot, with me, your host, Tanya Gonzalez. So this story starts off in Key West. I had just returned from Spain, so down here at the southernmost point of the United States. So I started in Spain, and I had gotten back to the United States in Chicago. It was the end of December. It was dead cold, and I was like, oh my God, please let me get somewhere where I can go. So I found a friend that invited me down to Key West to try to see if I could make it. So I get down to Key West thinking, okay, I could waitress, I can find a job, and I was able to do that. I identified the restaurants I wanted to work at, and I went. Lo and behold, of course, they were so impressed and couldn't believe that they had found such a gem like me. However, they did not have any spots open, and the only job that they had available was as a busboy. Here I was, master degree librarian, 40 years old, and all I could get at the best restaurant at that time in Key West, which was Blue Heaven, was a job as a busboy. And so I said, I'll take it. And they said, okay, it includes tips and this much. I said, I'll take it. And they're like, are you sure? They actually interviewed me twice. The owner couldn't believe it. He's like, what are you doing? And I said, if this is, I want to work here, I've told this was the best place. If this is where I need to start, let's go. So I said, I'll be the best busboy you had. And luckily there had been another woman there, and her name, Miss Betty. Miss Betty was from, I think she was from Haiti, but she was an older black woman, a woman of color, and she was just so sweet to me, and she was so mean to everybody else. And everybody kept telling me, when you just listen to Miss Betty, don't say anything smart to Miss Betty, because you don't want Miss Betty to not like you. And I remember I was like, oh, should I be afraid of Miss Betty? But I was like, no, I am not going to be afraid. Anyway, she taught me how to be a good busboy, a good bus woman. And so me and Miss Betty were running it. I enjoyed it. I didn't let myself think this was a grunt job. I said, you know what, I am happy. I'm at the beach. I'm not in Chicago. I'm in Key West. I can see the ocean every day. And it was the first, time I had been that far in that beachy feel, and it just felt so fantastic. I had been in Miami, but I was staying in a hotel. That felt different. I knew there was an expiration. But this, I thought, I could do this. And so I had met some ladies. I had gone through, the friend that I was staying with ended up not wanting me to stay there, and there had been a problem. I had nowhere to stay, but of course then I had this job. So I had met this Russian woman and a Chinese woman, and they were both rooming, and they let me sleep on their couch and take showers and do my laundry there. And I did that for about 2 or 3 weeks. I slept on their couch, and I did my clients, I did my work, I did my videos. I think there's even some videos on my YouTube channel from when I was doing those videos, because that'll be important in just a minute of me doing this. I went to a few coffee shops and asked them if I could do tarot readings, what I used to do. I went to the public library, I made friends there. I started going to the Unity Church. I was really trying to make a life of it. But I was not satisfied being a busboy, so I went to another restaurant, the Southernmost Beach Cafe, and I said, are you hiring? And they said, absolutely, when can you start? So I said, all right, I'll be a busboy at Blue Heaven. I'll be a waitress at our server at Southernmost Beach. And by that time at Blue Heaven, there needed a hostess. So I was also a hostess on some days, a busboy on other days, and on Southernmost Beach Cafe, I was a server in the mornings from 7 to 2. That was my shift, because I wanted to have time to do my radio show, my clients, and that. And so, again, I bought myself a beautiful pink bike. I had this cute pink bike with purple wheels. I was so happy. I thought that was my life. And then I started realizing I was drinking too much. Everybody around me was drinking too much. And I knew that Key West was not my place. But I said, how am I going to get out of here? And where can I go? I don't want to go back to Chicago. And so I just knew that if I kept talking about it and I kept just knowing that something would show up, something did. So the first miracle that happened is I met a very famous author, and she befriended me. And she ended up having 2 houses that she was renting. So she ended up letting me stay in this gorgeous, historic home in Key West for a month. It had a pool, it had 5 bedrooms, it was a palace. And I could not believe that I got to live there for free. She also gave me the Apple computer that I still use. And so, because I had told her I wanted an Apple computer to write my book. And she said, I have this one in the closet, take it. I was so grateful to this woman and still am to this day. And so I said, I know there's something more for me than this. I know there's something more for me than this. And I would say that every morning when I would look out at the ocean and see the ocean and see it and smell it and taste it and on my way to work. And I would say, I'm going to make the best tips today. I'm going to have the best customers. And one day I got an email, and it was an invitation, and it was to my direct email. So I was like, this can't be spam. And one of the Russian girls I work with, I asked her, I said, Natalia, can you read this? And she said, oh my God, Tanya, this is from STB TV. They want you to compete in this International Psychic Challenge. It's a TV show. I love this show. My whole family watches this show. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. And she said, no, they saw your YouTube videos. Now let me back up for a second. While I was staying with the Chinese girl and the Russian girl, there was some problem that one of the guys that one of the girls liked me, and she got upset, and I wasn't even interested. And so for a while I didn't have a place to stay. Now let me tell you, this is where I was staying before I got moved into the palace, and this is important. So I stayed with the Russian and the Chinese girl for about 2 weeks. But for 3 weeks, I had to live with someone who was known as the cat lady of Key West. Now, she fed hundreds of cats, which meant there were hundreds of cats at her house at any given time. She lived in a completely unfinished house, and she was the only place that I could find a room that I could afford. It had no full bathroom. I still had to go to their house to take a shower and to wash my clothes. And it smelled like cats. There was hardly any ventilation, and I would be so disgusted. I couldn't believe that I had to live there. But I said, I am here, I'm trusting, I'm knowing, I'm going. So fast forward. So I get this invitation. It's it's in July, it's the beginning of July, and so by my birthday, I'm on my way back to Kiev for the second time. I get selected. I get chosen to participate in the International Psychic Challenge, where I ended up coming in number 3 psychic in the world. And the tarot cards that speak to this story that I want to share with you is, and I apologize for not having these cards out first. I had my notes in front of me, but not my cards, is the Fool, because I had to take that original leap of faith. And believe you me, it was very difficult because no one believed that I would actually make it on TV. Everyone at the restaurant thought it was a joke. They thought there was no way. They thought that I would get kidnapped, put into the black market. No one could believe that I could go from being a server to a TV star. So the Fool and the World. And so that is another episode of Around the World with Tarot. With me, your host, Tanya Gonzalez. I can't wait to share episode 4, which is The Magician and the Stars. So stay tuned for that coming up soon. Until next time, beloved, peace and blessings.